Hi, and welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Uncovered, where we discuss the beauty and the challenges of entrepreneurship. I'm Gabrielle Luoma, CPA, CGMA, and CEO of Mod Ventures, and today I'm excited to have Juliet Carnelia, CEO and founder of Resilient Spark. Before we start, let me tell you a little bit about Mod Ventures. Mod Ventures is an outsourced accounting and advisory company for businesses across the United States. We offer operational accounting to small businesses struggling to understand their finances. Our passion is to help entrepreneurs create their financial futures and the business of their dreams. Juliet, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm
Thanks so much
excited
for
to
letting me
talk
be
to
here.
you.
I'm excited too. It's so great to see you again, and I always love chatting with you. So,
Yeah. No, we had a great visit at a coffee shop there in Phoenix about, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks ago. It seems like it wasn't
yeah.
that long ago, but
Hmm.
we had a great conversation. I was like, you have to come on and talk to our audience about resiliency and why it's so important for their lives. And we really hit it off. So I'm excited to have you here today.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Yeah. So, very first thing before we jump into advice and all these other golden nuggets,
Yeah.
um, tell us a little bit about you and Resilient Spark and what inspired you to start this new company.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So I actually had a lovely, beautiful, well-paid, challenging career at a Fortune 200 company where for the past 15 years, my role had very much been about developing leadership talent at all levels for the organization. And that's my joy. That's my happy place.
Yeah.
Absolutely. However, I also saw as time went on, and I think over the last 5 to 7 years in particular, I feel like time has just compressed,
Yeah.
and the pressures and the competition and the stress and the change level has gotten so extreme that people who maybe struggled with stress management before were getting crushed now under the wheel of changes and things that were happening. And I was one of them. Like I felt it.
Yeah.
And so I went outside of the corporate experience and corporate training because, as you know, business training is phenomenal for process management and strategies and coaching models. But there's an expectation that we already come pre-packaged with our ability to manage our nervous systems, which is just not real life at all. And so when I started doing some of my own work to support myself and make friends with my nervous system and learn about resilience and frankly trauma recovery and some of those things, I recognized that was a really big gap in our experience today. And it became very, very clear to me when I saw some really beautiful, heart-driven women leaders decide to take their career off ramp because they didn't have those skills and resources.
Yeah.
And so that's when I built Resilient Spark because I don't want amazing leaders to sacrifice their health to be present at work or to choose the career off ramp so that the business and their teams and even the customers of that business don't get the benefit for how amazing that they are.
Right. Right. I love that. I think that we're now in post-COVID stage, and I would say more anti-rev not anti AI revolutionary
Yeah,
time frame, right? There's change happening at constant.
it's beyond light speed now.
Yeah, it is. It's so much faster than probably any other generations ever had to experience. Like we've experienced
Yeah,
a lot.
right.
And so talking about our nervous system and how we
Yeah,
handle that stress, I don't think people are talking about that enough.
no.
They'll talk about burnout, we'll talk about stress management, but we don't talk about why we need those things to the extent that we need them.
No, we don't. Well, and what I find really interesting is that speed of change and speed of information has encouraged us to live even more in our heads.
Yeah.
And our nervous system is about our mind and body connection. And so a lot of times when people recognize, I am so burned out, I am so stressed out, I don't know what to do, then they're like, how can I think my way through this? But honestly, real health and real leadership starts in your body before you get to the boardroom.
Yeah. Yes.
And so we have to learn how to do that. And I don't think we build that resilience by accident. We don't. It's just not modeled for us. It's not training that we get. There aren't people that come to this planet with the superpower of that.
Yeah.
It's practices and things that we have to learn for ourselves.
hmm Well, and to speak of, folks that generally can handle chaos pretty well,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, people who start businesses
Yeah.
manage chaos to an extent that is probably superhuman or supernatural because they're just built that way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are built that way. But what I've seen over the course of my 20 some odd years of business ownership is that, and working with other small business owners is
Yeah.
that there is a point where the entrepreneur says, I cannot go on any further. So it's like either let my company go, I'm going to sell, I'm going to do something different because they haven't built in those practices of resiliency. And I don't even think that was something that people talked about, um,
No.
even 10 years ago. So, how do you
No.
know you need to do that?
Well, and honestly, and I'm glad you said that too, because part of the problem is that culturally we adore people that are like hustle culture. I don't believe in sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead
Mhm.
and just keep going and going and going and going. But the reality is, so much of our integration and learning and our creativity comes when we pause for a second.
Mhm.
And so, what I have seen a lot of is people getting to that breaking point of saying, I can't do this career anymore,
Yeah.
or their body breaks down in some way. Because if we don't give ourselves proactively the rest that we need,
Mhm.
eventually our body's going to say, I'll take care of that for you. I'm going to knock you down and make you
Sure.
lay on the couch for 2 months to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's a brutal way to go. I think that um, science is starting to catch up with some of the Eastern medicine philosophies of we have to integrate with our minds and our bodies. We have to complete stress cycles, which doesn't just mean surviving the boardroom meeting that feels like a bear attack. It
Yeah.
also means having that moment to signal safety to your body
Mhm.
so that your brain can catch up and move forward.
Yeah. I think that is a really, really great point. You talked about a bear attack.
Oh man.
So I hate to just jump into advice, but, you know, because a lot of times our body we're in fight or flight. Like, how do we, react well? And I can say perfectly honestly that I have not always reacted in the best way when, going into a situation where there might be conflict or where you're anticipating something happening. And so how do you handle, building in like some safeguards into your life so that when things like that arise, you can hopefully act right, you know?
Hopefully accurate. Well, no, and hey, that's part of the experience, Gabby, right? We want to respond instead of react
Yeah.
because here's the first thing that I think people need to know. Our nervous system is designed to keep us alive. It's a survival instinct.
Yeah.
And so, the first element here is to be curious because when our body pulls a lever that says, get out of here, I think we're going to die, even though you're just handling a Slack chat from a client that's maybe a pain in the butt,
Yeah.
right? The ability for us to be curious and say, oh, I am recognizing something doesn't feel safe about that.
Yeah.
Just in doing that, we're able to mentally take a little bit of control over it.
Right.
So, recognizing the fact that we are unregulated, something doesn't feel safe is very, very helpful in that space. And
Mhm.
that takes practice.
Mhm.
Here's the other thing. Our there's emergency levers that we can pull when we are freaking out in fight or flight or freeze and faint.
Mhm.
But a lot of the work that I do is focusing on everyday habits that we can have that build our resilience such that fewer things feel like bear attacks.
Yeah, that's great. I laugh because it's so true. When you
Yeah.
it and um I, I think that was the conversation that we had, was like I find myself in fight or flight in times where, you would think through experience you would be okay through, right?
Yeah.
But there are times when you're under high amounts of stress where your brain
Yeah.
is just not thinking clearly. And
Yeah.
so I loved what you talked about. And then you actually, which I really appreciate, sent me a breathing exercise to do um, for, that time period when something like that happens, which tax season, it's often, dealing with people's
Oh
money.
my gosh. Oh, that's so funny. The cool thing is, truly, there are hundreds of different things that we can do that will help us signal safety to our bodies. And
Mm.
so, one of the things that I greatly enjoy doing with my clients is this experience of exploration of let's experiment with a little bit of this and let's experiment with a little bit of this to see what feels accessible, what feels comfortable, what feels reasonable in their environment. So I sent you a breath exercise, and I love breath exercises, particularly for women in leadership and entrepreneurship situations, because you can change your breath pattern without anybody noticing, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And
no one has
so right, because if you're in the middle of a situation that you are somehow interpreting as hostile or unsafe, it's not going to support your brand to be like, you are freaking me the heck out right now. I need to do some jumping jacks, right?
no.
But if you can take a thoughtful pause and alter your breathing just a little bit to allow you to come back into yourself, then you can move forward in a way that still honors who you want to be in this meeting and gives kindness to your nervous system that again is just trying to save your life.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a really great point too. Your body is really just trying to help you.
It is.
And it,
Yeah.
it and it's spurred on by, the situation. Your brain
Yeah.
is telling you stuff that you maybe had potentially, had experienced in the past,
Yeah.
and it's trying to protect you. So
It's true.
we need to do a video though with me doing like
Doing some things to try some stuff out. Oh my gosh, yes.
do that. Like she told me to do this, and the clients on the other side going,
What's going no, and again, it depends on the circumstances and what's going on. If you've
yeah,
got space to yourself, the thing that you might need to do is something that really involves moving your body and moving
yeah,
energy through it. But
yeah,
that's why we want to empower and build toolboxes with a variety of options available to us. Because again, when we have options, we have choice. When we have choice, we have safety.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that's a big part of it. And let's be clear, Gabby, I started down this path because I was feeling betrayed by my body.
Yeah,
I had been through multiple car accidents. I have, oh, and your listeners will appreciate this. I've broken my right foot and ankle 12 times over the course of my life. No, it's just stupid. Do not recommend. 1 star.
yeah,
But between that and working in a really, really high stress, high pressure job, my nervous system started confusing everything with danger. So going downstairs felt dangerous. Having someone come up behind me felt dangerous. Going into the meeting felt dangerous. Getting a phone call felt dangerous. Because I didn't have resources to process the things that I had been through, my nervous system starts going, well, then that must be validation that everything is trying to kill you. Let's lean
yeah.
into that.
Wow.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, fortunately, we don't have to beat ourselves into submission to recover our nervous systems. We can engage in gentle practices that soothe and signal safety and not just expand our ability to deal with the yuck, but, and this is my favorite part, help people re-engage with their passion and the things that bring joy to them.
Mhm.
Because when your nervous system is out of whack and nothing feels safe, the life of the joy, of the passion, of
Yeah.
the gratitude and the engagement in the community, all of that gets stolen from us too. And that's not where we need to be.
Right. Well, and I think that that has been, an up and down road for me over,
Yeah.
my journey too. And I think that's so true is that that's what the fight or flight, thinking or reaction does is it does steal your joy
Yes.
and it steals the passion and the feeling that you're actually impacting or doing a great job, right?
Right.
Because you're constantly feeling like you're overwhelmed, like something
Yeah.
negative is going to come your way instead of being able to feel in that positive mindset. And so I feel like those are the tools that
Yeah.
had been missing for so long for me. Um, y- and I have bouts of, we all do have bouts of moments of, like where
Oh,
we're struggling. But I think, walking for me has become a really great tool.
yeah.
Getting in fresh air, just standing up and getting out of my chair, breathing,
Yes.
um, huge in that. And I think especially in high pressure time periods, you have to go back to the basics
Yeah.
and remember why you're doing what you're doing and help your body kind of remember that too. So it's a journey once you've been down that path. And so I love you sharing your story. Wow, breaking your ankle 12 times. Who
Seriously, I
does
know.
that?
Me, apparently. I know it's so funny too because I legitimately can't even remember all of them anymore, but I remember like counting them up at one time going, oh yeah, because it was an annual experience for a minute. Um, yeah. Oh yeah, and we both live in the desert. Those big old fluffy boots that you have to haul around when you've broken the stuff, that's pretty gross. So
Ugh.
that's unpleasant.
Yeah, that's not a fun experience.
No, but again, I think that that was part of my journey,
Mhm.
and I do wonder too because part of sometimes in that burnout or in that traumatic space, we can dissociate a lot where we're actively abandoning our body. And
Yeah.
so I wonder if sometimes me stepping off of those curbs and not paying attention was a result of me not having the skills at that particular time to be present in my
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
And that's when I can best support myself. But honestly, that's when we best support our businesses, our lives, the people that depend on us, and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is such a massive um undertaking because you're right. People are just walking down the road and staring at their phones.
Absolutely.
We're driving, we're listening to audiobooks.
Hmm.
We're multitasking life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and so, what do you tell somebody who's just in that constant state of, I don't know if it's phone addiction or if it's just trying to, like you said, disassociate. Like,
Yeah.
how do you get
I
out of the cycle?
So here's the thing. First thing I would say is we don't need to bring shame around that. When people are scrolling through TikTok or they are listening to an audiobook and are going away to some beautiful fantasy land in their
Yeah.
brains for a little bit, or shopping online, or doing some of those different things that are distractions, that's really dopamine hunting. We're actively looking for something that gives us a quick fix of not feeling bad.
Mm,
And so I don't think we should have shame around that because sometimes that's the only thing that's available to us or that we know how to do.
mm,
And when we are in a period of pain, whether it's physical or emotional, and we just want to not feel bad for a second, I understand that we get into that. But as I definitely learned, and I don't know if you've experienced that, when you're dopamine hunting, you have to consistently like try to find more and more and more. And that's when it can become more of an addictive experience where you are avoiding what's happening.
Sure.
And so part of my work is helping people to feel safe enough to be present with themselves and be present with some of the feelings that need their moment.
Right.
And a lot of the people that I have worked with, that's been one of their biggest, most frightening parts of the experience, where they're like, I'm sorry, are you telling me that I need to just like lay out 30 years of agony right now? Because I'm going to get overwhelmed by that.
Yeah.
Right. And but so fortunately, that is not what my process is at all.
Good.
Yeah, no, not at all. A couple of things. One, we don't need to relive and re-experience all of the hardships that we have been through in order to allow our bodies to process them.
Mm.
And there are very, very gentle things that we can do that allow some of those emotions that we might have previously avoided to gently come and go so that we can titrate that a little bit as we're letting our bodies relax into being present again. And that takes practice and that takes patience
Mhm.
and it takes experimenting with different things that feel supportive in the moment because there's not a one size fits all fix.
Right. Right. Well, I love that you mentioned sitting with your feelings.
Mm,
We're talking about context of work. Uh,
yeah.
the corporate world really is like bury your feelings. Let's not talk about them. Just do the
So
job.
much.
Like,
So
right?
much. Yeah.
And I understand sometimes the frustration because some people just want to talk about their feelings and never solve anything, right?
Yeah.
So that happens.
Absolutely.
But on the other side of that, you're not just leading, husks of people.
Right.
They're they come with their own experiences and knowledge and expertise and skill set, but they also have feelings. And
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the hardest things that leadership in corporate America probably struggle with. What are your thoughts around that?
Humaning is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is because there's got to be the balance of we all have experiences and difficulties and priorities and things inside and outside of work that are demanding our time, attention, energy, and emotion.
Mhm.
And we also have a commitment to ourselves and to our careers and to our businesses to show up in a way that is effective and professional and, dare I say, politically savvy too. And so the good news is it doesn't have to be one way or the other. You don't have to be like, this corporate experience is rubbing up against a trigger from a childhood problem, which let's be real, I think our corporate and business world often bumps up against stuff that we haven't necessarily processed from childhood. Like
Absolutely.
my
Yeah.
dad used to talk to me like that, and so now I must go rock in the corner and like, cry
Yeah.
about that for a second, right? Those
Feelings of rejection and shame. And I mean, just
100%.
all kinds of things. Yeah.
No, 100%. And so there's the ability for us to get to the point again professionally to say, "Hey, I need just a minute to come back into this conversation so that I can bring my full curiosity and interest and be fully engaged in that." And sometimes that's all we need to do is just call it out and say, "Just give me a second to take a breath."
Mhm.
And I also recognize too that when we have competing triggers with the people that we are working with, it gets more complicated.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the work that I do is helping people coach from a nervous system informed lens. And so if you are providing somebody feedback and they are responding in a way that is completely outside of the level of the feedback that you are providing, for
Yeah.
you to recognize they're not attacking me now. They are completely triggered about something else that's going on and
Sure.
then having some tactics to be able to manage what they've got going on while you yourself stay in a regulated space is a skill to be built. Again, this is not like a magical talent. It's something that we have to practice and have awareness of so that we can get through because we are dealing with humans and we are soft and squishy and all a little bit scraped up and bruised. And that's part of the beauty of us.
Right.
So, I think that's one of the glorious things about leadership is our ability to help people find their most effective, authentic versions of themselves and then let them fly free to do that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we have to have enough regulation and personal boundaries so that their highs and lows are things that we support, not things that we own.
Right. I think that is so, so important because you can't essentially change or make somebody be something they're not. And if they're
No.
acting in a way that's just not reasonable,
Right.
or if you're acting in a way that's just not reasonable, there's that too, right?
Hey, it happens.
You know, but self-regulation, that is a new word that
Yeah.
I don't think was around maybe a
No.
year ago.
No.
There's
Well,
new vocabulary around this.
yeah, and I love that because I feel like the environment is opening up a little bit more for us to talk about these things
Mhm.
a little bit. I'm looking forward to the time when there is more respect for the need to coach the whole person and allow us to move ourselves forward ultimately because of the fact that we are recognizing that we're all in the people business, no matter what we do.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I may work with numbers, but it's ultimately people and how they react even to their numbers.
Yeah.
You have to kind of coach around and help them even with mindset. And I do a ton of that. I shared this past weekend and you commented, but that, most people and small business ownership, you can have a great idea, but because you haven't dealt with yourself and
Yeah.
some of your issues, you can sabotage your success. And I mean, I've done it. I feel like probably most people have, walked away from meetings and been like, oh, I just did not handle that well. And so all of that is things that you learn about yourself going through, you get married, you learn about yourself in one context of a relationship. You have a child, you have another context of a
Yeah.
relationship, right? You have your parents in that relationship, and then you have relationship with other people, and how you handle those relationships, will teach you a ton about yourself. And I think small business ownership is one of the
It's
things
very educational.
very educational.
No, it's so, so true. And I love that you're bringing up that those different relationships teach us different things.
Yeah.
And I think they can challenge us in different ways. And there's often thematic similarities in terms of things that might need some additional attention and love
Yeah.
to support.
Mhm.
And specifically when I think about women business owners and women leaders, a
Yeah.
lot of times it's from the perspective of the boundaries and being able to prioritize, look, I've got to be able to manage my nervous system, my emotions, my self-care in order for me to provide even more support and more engagement and more leadership or more partnership with my partner or those kinds of things too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So important. In so predominantly you work with female leaders.
yes, predominantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I've definitely worked with some amazing, amazing men who are leaders over the years, but I think that we work with what we know.
Yeah.
And I also feel too, I'm so passionate about helping heart-driven leaders be able to put themselves first and launch themselves even further as a result of doing that.
Mhm.
And that feels like a transition that's more relevant to the women leaders.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting. And again, I can reference to myself and even working with other female business owners. There's definitely that learning to set boundaries,
100%.
To not internalize other people's necessarily their problems,
Mhm.
you know, and especially when you're working with um folks who have made decisions and you're trying to fix them. A lot of times that's what we do, right? We're fixing things. Um
Yeah.
and trying to get it on the right track. And sometimes there's some adverse, consequences to some of those decisions that were made. And so really that's been one of the most challenging things I think in my career, um, as a female business owner, as a leader, is really separating myself and saying, no, this is what Gabby's responsible for.
No, that's so, so powerful. I'm so glad that you're saying that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do think that I think there's a cultural bias towards women who pick up the slack and move the business
Yeah.
forward and take time to bake birthday cakes
Yeah.
for all of the humans and know all of the kids' names of all of the people that they support and all. There are expectations upon us that frankly they're just not for our male counterparts.
Yeah. Hmm.
And again, some of those things are part of the secret sauce of why employees and clients will drag themselves over broken glass to stay with us and to work with us
Yeah. Mhm.
because the care that we can bring, if we choose to do so, if that's part of what we choose to be,
If we
can be
have
a
the
differentiating
capacity.
factor. Yeah,
Yeah. And if
but
we have
you're
the
right. But like
capacity.
we always have to have the capacity to do that. And so, and I definitely one of my burnouts earlier in my career was I felt like, sure, if there's anything left over after I serve my people and take care of my peers and take care of my boss and take care of the family and take care of those things, then I'll think about maybe taking care of me, but I don't know, I probably don't deserve that. And I had to have a major, major paradigm shift and adjustment in recognizing not only can I not fix everybody's problems, I'm stealing from their journeys by
Yeah.
indicating that they are not capable of taking care of some of those things themselves. And so, but when I truly got to the point that I could believe that and live that, my ability to lead and grow talent and do it in a beautiful, authentic way and in a sustainable way changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we can be stronger and more effective, and I think even more caring because of those boundaries.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was talking to a client and it was hitting up, I think it was really close to the time where I had to leave to go work out. And I have really changed my lifestyle to be a person who is active, right? So this is who I am now. I am an active person. I'm going to go to the gym. So I said to him, "Hey, I have to leave in like 5 minutes to go to the gym, but what do you got for me? What do we need to say?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, this isn't as important as going to the gym. You need to go to the gym. We'll talk later."
Hey
And
now.
I'm like, wow, when you start saying I am this person and you show up as this person, people go,
Yes.
yeah, that's important. And you
Ah,
have to focus on that. And before I would have been like, I would have missed my workout.
uh-huh.
I would have put it off. I would not have done it. And, but just me saying that and then getting that backup support was like, I am so blessed, because the world is changing, I think.
Yeah.
The world is changing.
But I just want to pause real quick and say that's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful that you established this is part of my identity. This is part of the commitment that I've made to support myself in what my identity is.
Mhm.
And that people around you are like, yeah, no, that's fair. That's good. That's a beautiful, beautiful win. I love that for you.
Yeah, it was a win for me because I was like, wow. Before, I, I would never have said anything. So,
Right? Oh, 100%. I've been there. Yeah.
you sacrifice yourself because but I think in your mind you do, in some cases, struggle with worthiness.
Yeah.
Am I worthy of this? Am I worthy
Yeah.
of an hour time to I go take care of myself? Am I worthy of these things? And I think as women, well, and I think men deal with it too, but probably in a different
Absolutely.
way. But as a woman, working woman, family, marriage, husband, I have definitely been in situations where I have put myself and even my family second to what I needed to do in my career. And I think I'm learning that I don't serve my clients as well. There becomes resentment and issues, and then I don't act right. So,
No, that's such a beautiful realization. I love that. And you're absolutely right too. I've learned that for many of us, when we were growing up, the affection or the praise that we got was based on the things that we did for others or
yeah.
the
Yes.
accomplishments that we had. And so
Yeah.
we learned during that developmental time that this is the way to safety, or this is the way to love, or this is the way to acceptance.
Yeah.
And those become ongoing patterns in our lives until we can deconstruct and
Yes.
recognize fully that our worthiness was bestowed upon us the moment that we entered this life, and nothing that we do or don't do has any impact on that. And that really changes, I think, the decisions that we make and the impact that we can have.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So what do you have that you're working on right now? Like what are you doing now?
Oh, I'm having so much fun. I love this work so much. Well, I'm still working one-on-one with some clients. But right now I am refining my first digital offer, which I had never done before, which is kind of an entry point for leaders to get some of these understandings about how their body works and how their engagement and curiosity and understanding of their nervous system can impact their effectiveness as a human and their effectiveness with leading. And so some of that really is just an introduction to how we work
Mhm.
and why the life that you want might not be the life that you're living right this moment.
Yeah.
And then that builds into my broader program, which is undergoing a rebranding right now, which I'm very excited about.
Okay,
But
cool.
it'll be more of a longer term experience, probably 8 to 10 weeks, an hour a week, for leaders to truly come in and build some of those resilience habits, those regulation habits, while we talk about nervous system informed leadership and strategy and change management and the things that really move the meter for us to not just be successful, but to thrive and really explore our passion as we explode our careers forward.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I'm refining and building that right now, with the hope of getting that off the ground in the next couple of months. But yeah, in the meantime, my one-on-one clients, I get to work with them to again, see the things that are bringing them joy and the things that are bringing them the ick, and
Yeah,
help them work through. Because sometimes it's just as simple as let's talk about the habits and the things you do throughout the day.
sure.
And sometimes it's like something's gotten stuck someplace that needs to find an outlet.
Mhm.
And whether that is a core belief, like we were just talking about, where I have to serve others in order to be worthy, that needs to be rewritten, or a really bad experience that your brain is getting confused and starting to think that it's very, very connected to other things. I
Mhm.
help people process that too so that they can move forward.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I think we all need that support throughout,
Yeah,
careers and at different stages too. You might be going through an immense amount of change and overwhelm, finding a new position, learning how to elevate your leadership skills. Like there's
right.
so much that you can um, you know, work with you on as far as
Yeah.
that's concerned. So I feel like that's
No, I appreciate that.
really
I feel like
important.
I definitely have been attracting clients who are ready to make a pivot, where
Oh,
they've been extremely successful, but the level of hard work that they're putting in isn't necessarily getting them that same benefit that they got before. And they're
yeah,
getting tired with all of the hard work that they're putting in. And
yeah,
so it's time for something to change. And so, which is great because when people are ready to pivot, they're curious and ready to experiment and try some things and really, really lean into the possibility of what
yeah,
change can do for them.
yeah. So you're finding, I hate to use the word trigger, but you know, the specific pain points that clients go, oh yeah, I need Juliet for this for sure. Like, what are some of the other things you mentioned pivoting? Like they're
Yeah.
changing or thinking about changing their career or doing something different. Like,
Oh, yeah, a lot of times it's preparation for a career pivot, or it's a situation where they are like they've just gotten into that role that they've always wanted to be in, and they're like, I thought that this was going to bring me joy, and now I'm regretting all of my life choices. So
yeah,
what have I done wrong?
yeah,
Right? And so, because again, as we up level our careers and we up level our lives, we also need to be able to up level the tools that we use to ensure our effectiveness and that we're doing that in a sustainable way. And so
yeah,
I think career pivots and life choice pivots are just, again, where people are recognizing what they've been doing isn't getting them the life that they deserve, the life that they want for themselves.
mhm,
And they're ready to change things up to get where they need to go.
yeah, yeah. Well, and when you're thinking about next stages, next, I don't know if a lot of people think things through. They think, things are going to be so easy. And so it ends up being a very reactive time period instead of a proactive time period. So, I could also see if someone's like thinking they might want to make a change, it would be great opportunity to, sit with you
Absolutely.
and work with you through some of those beliefs that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If even if we're progressing well in our lives, but we recognize there's something that we keep stumbling up against, or something like I mentioned before, like there's something that we keep brushing up against at work that just does not feel right.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity to pause and explore, and I can help people feel safe enough to explore and then plot out a path to set them up for success and reconnect with their joy.
Oh, I love that. Well, Juliet, I think we are come to our end of our time here, but I appreciate all the advice and kind of just giving people an idea of what they can do to help really self-regulate. Self-regulate. I'm using all these big words now.
I love it.
Um, and help them deal with that proverbial, bear in the forest. So it's just always great to talk to you.
Yeah.
Tell everyone how they can get a hold of you so that they can, partake in all of your offerings.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. Well, you can catch my website, resilientspark.com. And I'm also on Meta at Resilient Spark Coaching. And I'm also at LinkedIn under my name, Juliet Carnelia. So you can find me any of those places. And I'm so excited to get to better know your listeners and the people that you work with. And I'd love the opportunity to help them reconnect to their inner spark.
I love it. Thank you so much. All right, if you are still with us, please like and subscribe. We want you to be a part of our community and get all this great knowledge. I have great people on who have so much advice and so much knowledge in their particular expertise. I don't want you to miss a beat. So until next time, take care. Bye.